Kams audio son. You burn the swine when no why you shine. The tree of life, them no why you climb, cause them heart no kind. Kams, I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, read that.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money, I know what you can even money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money, you can keep, you can even money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money, now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. That's all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor. Money, neighbor, money. Money, neighbor, money. Money, now I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government, and on that grounds I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Kams TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians, they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah as ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Quindon Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time.
Good morning, morning. I your neighbor, morning. I share this live now. Share this live. I know there's a problem, but I work with it. We gotta rock and roll with it today. Sometimes you have to live with the choices and your consequences. Good morning, welcome to the program. I was just informed that one of our program directors got locked out of office. So that program director is not going to be visibly at work, but will be looking on from the outside. Right? I don't know what is the reason for the suspension. But those who fight and run away live to fight another day. Irfan Prasad said, not nasty. Yeah. Don't be nasty. Welcome. It's the 6th day of July in the 7th. What am I saying? It's the 6th day of the 7th month. Yes, the 6th of July. In the year 2023. It's like I'm feeling older by the day, man. I gotta disabuse my mind of this thing, you know. Yeah. It's consuming me. You know, a lot of the sisters, when they see one gray hair, they just lose it. Oh, Lord. I'm all about salt and pepper these days. And I'm enjoying it. Welcome to the program. How have you been? How was your yesterday or last night? What are you about this morning? What are you about this morning? I hope you had a successful and productive day yesterday. I hope you made money. Because as you see, if you don't have money in this country, you can't eat your dinner. And perhaps around the world too, right? Money buys a lot of things, including influence and freedom. Yeah. Even back in the days of slavery, when the enslaved could have worked just during the period of apprenticeship, because after they gave their 8 hours to massa, they were to be paid. And many of them were able to save up, right? And pay their way out of slavery even before the end of apprenticeship, and so on. So there are lots of things your history will tell you. See, you have to learn your history. You have to go to your history. Because your history is a good teacher, you know. There's something about those who don't know the past will make the same mistakes in the present. And in the future, right? So it's important that we know our history. A lot of us don't like to be associated with our history. I think somebody said on a program not so long ago that a lot of us African Guyanese and black people in general, perhaps descendants of enslaved Africans, do not like to dwell in our history because slavery was not a pleasant experience, and nobody likes to dwell in unpleasantness. What if you take into consideration the fact that your history did not start with slavery? You know that there's a lot to look back on and a lot to be proud of. And so I'm encouraging you to do that daily. Good? Yesterday I said to you 100 cents make $1, and so I asked the question, where do you start if you want $1? We agree that the answer is at a cent. Our ancestors recognized that you have to start somewhere to get to where you wanted to.
And so, as history tells us, they pooled their resources. They saved their monies. And then they fetched the nickels and dimes in wheelbarrows. And they approached Massa and said, Massa, sell away this land. Sell away this land. In my mind, they were confronted with similar problems to those we are confronted with today. How do we as a people elevate ourselves? Back then, how do we as a people elevate ourselves from freed Africans or freed enslaved Africans? Do we just accept that label, that tag, and be prepared to live on somebody's goodwill on the edge of some plantation? Or do we work together as a people to elevate ourselves, elevate our status? And as history would tell us, they chose to work as a people and elevate themselves. And so they were able to leave us legacies of communities. Right? They left us legacies. A lot of the legacies we squandered. I'm being honest this morning. We squandered them. Do you agree or disagree? We squandered them. I was having a conversation with what do I consider an elder? Certainly my elder. The other day. He was telling me, he said, you know, Kidaki as they would call me. And we were growing up. Indians didn't have land in this country. Indians didn't have land in this country. A lot of them got lands because we Africans were good to them. First and foremost, we accommodated them to live on lands that we had, unused. And then as time went by, many of us sold lands to them. And today those very people are turning around and fight us for lands. Old people say ingratitude was done witchcraft. Y'all ever heard that one? Ingratitude was than witchcraft. And so, I guess we can call many of them Nimakaram. I'm ungrateful. Because our ancestors came to the rescue, if you can call it that. And in return, the next generation are hounding us and trying to force us to live on the edge of plantation Guyana. Do you recognize Guyana as a plantation? When certain people make these one-word comments, I like to ask, what are you saying? Express yourself in complete thoughts. What is disrespectful out front parts? Yes. They're trying to force us to live on the edge of plantation Guyana. Why plantation Guyana? Why plantation Guyana? Because that is what Guyana is, a plantation. Your history will tell you that the the British and the Dutch and the Spanish and the French and all of them, many of us lump it together and say the Europeans, they came to this place and they extracted the wealth and they took it back to their homelands because they saw this place as a plantation. Right? Guyana was a place of primary production. Use the land and plant sugar cane. We're going to extract it and carry it to Great Britain, and we're going to make with sweeteners and plant cotton and so on and so forth. So it was a plantation, and it still is a plantation. If you look at the way the PPP treats Guyana, let me don't go to the PPP yet. If you look at the way Guyana is treated by various ethnic groups, you'll come to realize that the only two ethnic groups in this country, in my mind, that treat Guyana as though it is their home is the Amerindians and the Africans, descendants of Amerindians and Africans. They got more love, they got more patriotism, they value this land more than anybody else. The Portuguese, years ago, there's one I referred to them as what? Portuguese mafia. Many of them acquire wealth here and they take it elsewhere, where they have their homes. They live here, but they got their homes elsewhere. Their comfort zones are elsewhere, so they acquire their wealth here by exploiting the resources here, and they expatriate, I think is the word, the wealth of their homes. The Chinese do the same thing. I'm going to tell you something about the Chinese you might know or might not know. They do the same thing. People complain about Chinese businesses being successful in forcing every other business out of business and establishing themselves almost in every community across Guyana and so on. And they sell things cheap and so on and so forth. But do you know that the Chinese do not pay taxes in this country? At least import duties, they don't. It is my understanding that every container that is consigned, the Chinese business in this country is consigned to the Chinese embassy. So through the diplomatic relations, anything consigned to the Chinese embassy is not taxable. So all the Chinese containers and so on, from my understanding, comes into this country tax-free. And then they get distributed to the individual owners. It's like a diplomatic bag. Right? The Chinese Association, located in Brickdam, looks out for the Chinese in this country so that they can get an unfair business advantage. Along with other things, they provide funding and so on for the establishment of businesses. A few days ago, I asked who are the owners and operators of the Bank of Baroda, and what are the arrangements with the Bank of Baroda for funding startup businesses for Indo-Guyanese. What's the role of the Chinese Association and the Chinese Embassy in Guyana in relation to startup businesses and so on for Chinese? My understanding is that they provide financing, they provide the necessary training and support, and Those of you like to eat Chinese food and so on, perhaps you can pay attention to that. Ever so often they rotate out their business owners. So you might see a young Chinese couple operating Kingzing restaurant, and they're there for 10, 15, 20 years, and then they just disappeared. The restaurant is never closed, but they just disappeared, and you'll see another Chinese couple operating it. And sometimes you go to some other part of the country and you see those who are operating Kingzing at another one. Right? So I'm saying that these people have systems in place, and they're working those systems to their advantage and maximizing their economic benefits on this plantation named Guyana. Because what do they do with their profits? It go back home. They send it back home. The Indo-Guyanese, you are Ravidef, come to this plantation. In all of the sectors that we have, we're going to ensure that you get settled. Come to the plantation and make money. What will happen when they make that money? It gets sent back home. I know at least one Indian businessman who has a business at a junction or just in the vicinity of Wellington and Regent. A very popular guy, sells cosmetics and stuff like that. Very popular guy. And one day I walked into the store and he's not there. I asked one of his customers, his workers, "This man there, he gone home." Says, "Who running the business?" This is his father and his sister. Right? So they come to this plantation, they exploit the resources, they enrich themselves, and then they either go back home or send the resources home, and they go every now and again to vacation and come back. But if you look at the ethnic build-up of this country, you recognize that 4 out of the 6 ethnic groups can do that. But the indigenous, the Amerindians, they're from here. Where is home for them except Guyana? The descendants of enslaved Africans, for the greater part, have not established a relationship with the homeland of their foreparents. And so where is home for them? Right here. And while they have made the sacrifice to tame and develop this land, and like I said earlier, accommodate others as they came, they are now in a situation where they're being forced to live on the edge of plantation Guyana. Right? The question is, how do we ensure that we don't get forced to the edge of plantation Guyana? Are we placing our hopes or all of our hopes in a Blinken visit? Huh? What can a Blinken visit do to give us back a foothold in this society? Why are we celebrating? Because a lot of people are celebrating. A lot of people are joyous. A lot of people are seeing a light at the end of this dark tunnel. Because There will be a blinking visit today. But that blinking visit will only last at most, in my mind, for about 8 hours tops. There will be a flurry of activities, I'm sure, in government quarters. What will be the role of the opposition in this blinking visit? Are they going to have an opportunity to sit with Secretary of State Blinken and pour their hearts out and complain as much as they can and will? And if they do, what happens after? What happens after if they do? Are we going to see a change in attitude of the PPP? And if there's a change in the attitude of the PPP, are we going to see a change in the attitudes of the Hindus? The support base of the PPP? The other ethnic groups which have enriched themselves at the expense of Afro-Guyanese? Are we going to see a change in their attitudes? What will those changes look like? Will those changes empower us? Or will they provide opportunities, possibilities for our empowerment? Those are some of the things I want you to think about this morning. Will a Blinken visit result in Nigel Darmlal being charged, along with all those other people, including Priyamanik Chand and Vindhya Prasad and Superintendent, what's his name? Sham something, can't remember, who have all participated in the perversion of the course of justice, along with all of those other pedophiles associated with the PPP, associated with the corridors of power, who have been going into the interior regions and advantaging the first people, the indigenous people. Are we going to see them being placed before the courts? Are we going to see a return of co-op lands to those predominantly African Guyanese managed co-op societies? Are we going to see the reemployment of African Guyanese professionals like Colvin Heath, London, Vincent Adams, I think this guy's name was Colin Bino. Is it Colin Bino? Bino at was part of the oil and gas management there. Are we going to see fair employment practices for African Guyanese? These are all issues which have a direct impact on the state of mind and the state of the economics for African Guyanese. Are you saying that a Blinken visit is going to bring positive changes in all of these directions? Desiree Smart Felix said, wow. Like I usually ask, what is that wow about, Desiree? I just looked at the comments. I'm asking these questions because I can ask them. Is it? Or because I sincerely believe that when we can answer these questions and answer them honestly, we will do some serious soul searching and we will come to a point of understanding that the salvation, the survival of the generations the inheritors of the legacies of the enslaved Africans is dependent not on what these other ethnic groups do. Is dependent not on a visit from Blinken, but is really and truly wholly and solely dependent on what we as a people do. As African Guyanese, as descendants of the enslaved Africans. Do you recognize that? It's dependent a whole lot on what we do. Because like we rightly say, you can take the ass to the grass, but you can't make it eat. So Blinken can come and Blinken can influence and Blinken can demand, perhaps, I don't know if they can demand, I don't know if the PPP listens and acts on any demands of Blinken and the US. But external influence can be activated. But unless we recognize those opportunities and capitalize on them, we'll just remain right where we are. Agreed? So the question is, what are you prepared to do to ensure that you don't have to live on the edge of plantation Guyana? But that you take your rightful place. What do you have to do? What are you prepared to do? Derek Kisun asks, sir, you're promoting racism? If so, you must be investigated. Let's call for investigations of those who are promoting racism. There's a video out there with Ravi Dev promoting racism. There are videos out there with Roshan Khan, Elijah Roshan Khan promoting racism. There's a video out there with a chap they call Gaza. Silent black man also a party and invite Silent black man and poison them out. Promoting racism. There's a video with Granny in quarantine promoting racism. So let's get these investigations going. What have we named Derek Kisu? Let's do that. Are we ready? Let's investigate Bar Jagdeo, who Freddie Kisun said is an ideological racist. Because above all else, Bar Jagdeo really and truly should be of interest to everybody when it comes to racism in this country, for the simple fact that he wields power in this country, dominates the Muslim president. Hindu Bar Jagdeo dominates the Muslim president in this country. Let's investigate that. How about us investigating Vinaya Prasad, because there are lots of allegations over at Ministry of Social Services against her for ethnic preference. Lots of African Guyanese who were seniors at that ministry when she took it over have either been parked in a corner or have been forced into retirement, etc. Why don't we investigate that? Why don't we? Let's investigate the DPP. And the PPP for racism or promoting racism. Why don't we? Let's investigate if it's not a racist government that will feel obligated to consult with a predominantly Indo-Guyanese community in places like oil and industry. Then they're talking about the construction of a 4-lane highway on the railway embankment, but refuse from the inception to consult with a predominantly African Guyanese community, Plaisance, which is right next door to oil and industry. Let's investigate if that's not racism at play. Listen, there's so much we can investigate. I need to take a break. Don't have to explain, don't need to explain, won't explain. But I need to take a short break. Listen to TACUMA OGUNSEYE talk about sacrificing for your people. Because if it means that I have to be investigated for speaking the truth, then go right ahead and have me investigated.
I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government, and on that grounds I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge from the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Kams TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting oil money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again fooling the people. You promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, poor people governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
FMPSA tells us they can apply for work in the public sector, in the private sector. Who can apply for work in the private sector? I just want to ensure we are on the same plane when we're having these discussions. It's now what? 9 minutes past the 8 o'clock number. Yeah, 9 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Who can apply for work in the private sector? Do you agree with me that, you know, people, we have to be very careful of what advice we take, quite frankly. We have to be very careful of the advice we take from people. Sometimes we think that they're well-intentioned, but they say don't look a gift horse in the mouth. When our ancestors were brought on these shores as enslaved Africans, or to be enslaved as Africans, the people were buying them and bringing them were looking all down in the throat, in their ears, in the anus. Why we mustn't watch gift horses in the mouth? We must examine them closely, because they are also Trojan horses that can be giving us gifts. Why is it okay for other people to be business owners? Owners of enterprises. But African Guyanese must satisfy themselves with either working in the public sector or the private sector. Why? It's a new form of slavery. Why must the descendants of freed, enslaved Africans allow themselves to be enslaved in a different form, in a different era? Because we haven't learned anything. Yeah? Because we haven't learned anything. How is it these other ethnic groups in this country are facilitated when it comes to the establishment and operation of big businesses? But African Guyanese, the descendants of freed enslaved Africans. I give them the royal runaround. I give them the hardest time when it comes to getting involved in enterprise. Y'all talk to me. It's like I was saying just prior to the local government elections. I hate to go back there, but I will say it. Because it has the same bearing on the national elections. Be careful of the advice of people telling you, go to the elections and vote them out or vote against them. As against standing up and fight for the postponement, cancellation of holding of any elections under this current regime at GECOM. It's a trap. As long as you participate with the current rules, you can't win. You can't win. You might get a toe in, a leg in. But will you be standing on solid ground? My answer is no. And if you're not standing on solid ground, you're not getting a firm footing in the society in which you live, a society which your ancestors built, then you're losing. Because what you're standing on will slip from under your feet. And you're going to get, eventually going to fall off the edge. You ever play King for the Land? Yeah. Yeah, I had childhood days. Did you ever play King for the Land? We used to play King for the Land over Company Bridge, Company Trench. That famous Company Canal, as people call it. With those high-rise bridges, we call them, I see they're calling them kissing bridges. Well, I don't know if we call them kissing bridge back when we were growing up. But those bridges were elevated over the trench so that boats could pass underneath as they go to the back dam and they come from the back dam with produce. We played King for the Land and that. If you were on the edge, it was easier to push you off. But when you're on the middle, you confront your opposition, your challenger in the middle, and you have serious battles in the middle to see who is going to get pushed over the edge. And so the question is, where are we as a people on this land that we are fighting, we want to play King for the Land? Where are we as a people? Are we centralized enough to really fight? Are we positioning ourselves? Yo, Charlie, I don't even care how much racist they call me. I'm going to tell you the purpose of calling people racist in this country. Especially calling black people racist. Are we centralized enough to really fight and defend our territory in this land that some people want to fight us and pay King for the Land for? If not, why not? And what should we do to ensure that we position ourselves in a much more central way to fight? Why other people have an unfair advantage over us? Have you ever asked yourself that? I will tell you it's because they control a lot of what we depend on. What are we good at as a people? What are we good at as a people? When we can recognize what we're good at as a people, maybe we can leverage that. I am sure many will say, hey, y'all good at providing services. Y'all got excellent lawyers and doctors and so on. But have you paid attention to where other people leverage? Sometimes these things only occur, as we like to say, by chance to me. I was having a conversation earlier today. A lot of y'all think I was in bed. I was having a conversation about training and education, academics versus skill. Irfan Prasad tells us, let them apply for work in the private sector. First and foremost, the private sector in this society is dominated by the people who don't like us. And since every cow cries for its own calf, the people who dominate the private sector will save the best for their people. And then what is left for us? The crumbs. Just as it is in the public sector. We're left with the crumbs. But take a peek over at your neighbor and you're going to realize if you want a machine shop, you want a mechanic, you want a welder, you want a auto electrician. Just those four, let me look at them. Where do we turn to? Who dominates? Who dominates those four skill areas? Auto electrician with the concentration of motor vehicles in this country, I bet you can't go hungry. At least 2 vehicles will come to you on any given day. Mechanic, same thing. Welder, same thing. What's the other one I mentioned? Can't remember. But just but you tell your children going to write 1960 subjects to go work in the public sector? We want to have boutiques. Oh, let me don't say boutique. Let me say hairdressing salon. I mean, every day somebody might want to do the hair. But every second somebody has to eat. We have to start leveraging. We have to start leveraging. We have to start leveraging. We have to find ways and means of centralizing ourselves on that bridge. On this plantation. If we really want to play king for the land. And retain our rightful places. But leadership is important, right? Leadership starts from the home. We as parents have to provide leadership to our children so that they walk in the right direction to help us to come back central. When 40 children enroll in a school, all of them are looking forward to graduating that school. Assume all of them graduate. All of them will graduate with the same education, not the same knowledge. Or is it the other way around? What is knowledge versus education? Right? But all of them would have gone through the same period of time of study, assumably write the same number of subjects, pass the same number of subjects. What makes your child different? What gives your child the edge for success? We have to start identifying those things and work them. Leadership. Community leadership. We have to sit in our communities and bring our children together, our young people together, our residents together, and help them to understand what needs to be done for us to get back to the center of that bridge if we're going to play king for the land. Many of you think you know answers. Many of you, I'm sure, know the answers. Many of you are privy to information that is 9 years old. The question is, how do we use that information to leverage? I can't sit here and tell you everything. Like I say, I'm not the custodian of all knowledge. But I'm saying no. At 24 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Whether we get pushed off the edge of this plantation known as Guyana, because we are already at the edge, or we get to reposition ourselves on this plantation named Guyana, is dependent on what we as a people do. It's dependent on what the leaders among us do. And we gotta start doing it now. It's long overdue, but we could start now. We could play catch up. We can't rest our hope on a blinking visit. And just for clarity here, I'm using the pun. I learned the pun as a part of my academic growth. Secretary of State Blinken is visiting. But a Blinken visit cannot and will not be the answer to all of our troubles. So y'all give me a blinking chance and start doing the blinking work. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. And if you don't know how we use blinking in the communities and in this country, blinking is a placeholder for something that is more unpleasant if used in the public. Some people call it indecent language. Some people call it industrial language. You choose which one you want it to be. The lines are open. 6225933. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. And we're reasoning, because that's all I'm doing this morning, reason with you. Blinken, as in Secretary of State, will not be able to prevent rape of your underage children. Because he will not be at your doors. He's not going to be the head of your homes. He's not going to be the leadership of your communities. They say stroke of the government, why is it the populace? The US might register its discontent with the way Amerindian children are treated in this country, with the way African Guyanese are treated in this country. But the PPP might have a comeback to say, yes, we recognize that we weren't, in the first instance, doing enough for them. But in recent times, we have started to address that. We sent the Vice President to Plaisance to address their concerns of non-consultation, and we are now giving them 6 months to move. But you still got to move. How does that stop your rape and the destruction of your economic base? It doesn't. It just delays it. But the same pain you're going to feel when, according to the boys, your pleats get depleted. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I always get a message that makes me smile from some way or other in the morning. Thank you, Madam Program Director. They say don't underestimate the wisdom of age, you know. Call it live, good morning.
Morning to Daki and morning Guyana. So much things to ponder in Guyana, land of water, land of many water, but yet still you can't get good water to drink. Blinken coming to Guyana poses lots of opportunity, but the question is, would the Guyanese people take advantage of that? Because by him coming alone, it speaks a lot of volume of the status Guyana have gained. And we often wonder why they're coming. They're coming to actually get more of the pie. They've already gotten a lot of the pie. They're getting more. One question that I would have is that how long this trip was actually planned, and would the opposition actually be in the plan of Blinken to speak to? I've heard that we need to talk to Hakim's referees and all the others, but it's up to the Guyanese people, in my opinion, to show what's happening in Guyana by lining the streets where they're going to be, to show what a really terrible situation we're in. But if we don't show anything, then the visit would just be looked at as a success for the PPP, that they're able to get the United States Secretary of State to come to Guyana, and we haven't showed them anything of what's going on. Now, I just saw a post, the resignation of the Amiral. It doesn't mean that rape is a good thing. It just says that they have made strategic moves in order to appease and to lull the Guyanese people to sleep and to give the United States a false sense of, well, things are being done. It is up to the Guyanese people, and it's always will be up to the Guyanese people to make the difference. And it just seems like in every situation, it is just African Guyanese that are actually standing up. Others are benefiting, but it's always the African Guyanese that are, doing these things. We are bringing issues to the forefront, while 95% of the Indian Guyanese just twiddle their tongues and go along with that. We've got a lot of African men that simply refuse to take up and to see what's happening to their people, hence leaving the women in these positions to always fight in these battles. And we got to look at where we're going to be in the next 10, 15 years. And it doesn't look good because we're not educating our youngsters on why we're where we are today. And with 65 African organizations in Guyana, and we're in this situation, it just tells us we have not done enough with liberating Guyana and what we've accomplished over the time to allow Indians to now take it over and run it down. So the question is, where do we see ourselves in the next 5, 10, and 15 years? And if anything we can look back on is the past 23 years, now 26 years of the racist mafia PPP. And if anyone in Guyana can tell me we have done better, they better have their head examined. And that's my take.
Thank you for your call. Morning, neighbor, morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam, the Buxtonian. I'm in a good mood this morning. I don't like make promises I don't keep. So we're going to start with a promise that I made. And other promises. I made several promises for this week, so I intend to keep them. How y'all do? It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. How y'all feeling from yesterday? Y'all feeling good? Y'all make money? How many? Yeah. How many of you had cooler cards out there? How many of you had a cooler with water to sell yesterday when the protest was going on? Could I make a quick buck there, Remember, if you want to make that dollar, you have to start with a cent. Big businesses start a small business. Right? Evan Prasad morning. Evan Prasad tell us that Indo-Guyanese get big businesses because they start accumulating wealth from agriculture. Yeah. Cocaine comes from a plant. Cocaine comes from a plant. P-L-A-N-T. And the word could be used interchangeably in this instance. It came from a plant, as in an agricultural product, a plant. And it also comes from a plant, a place of manufacturing. I saw an Indo-Guyanese from, I think, Essequibo side, arrested with 13 pounds of cocaine, valued $10-point-something million. $10-point-something million, let's say $10.1 million, is reasonable capital to start a small or a big business. Right? Right, Ivan? Yeah, so my sources tell me that if you were to go to Blackbush Polar, they do a lot of farming up there, right? A lot of cash crop and so on. Check in between them tomato plants. Hey, well, I know. Do an investigation. Ask Kanu to give you the figures and tell you where the most ganja in this country has been seized. That is a lot in region 10 too. But go to Blackbush Polar. So yeah, a lot of capital is there to be acquired from agricultural use of the land. But it's all you're planting. Right? So I hope y'all made some legit money. Yes, Evan, cocoa is not grown in Guyana, but cocoa is part of the import-export business, the product of cocoa. That's a lot of them big businessmen who got import-export business. All that is imported thing in fast bottom containers and exporting fast bottom suitcases and agricultural produce again. You notice agricultural produce, Gale Barker, Awara, you know those kind of things. They're all agricultural produce, right? Evan Prasad. Morning, I am morning. Welcome to the program. It's Free Talk Friday, so I can allow myself to talk about these things on Fridays. It's Free Talk. Hey, somebody buy a beer. It's my birthday. It's my birth month. I've been celebrating all month. None of y'all didn't buy a beer for me yet. For the this year, I ain't drinking beer. Why Hennessy? Well, I know the PPP like give black people Hennessy and Ciroc. Top of the line drink is what we like. But are we making money? Are we making sense? Hope y'all make some money yesterday. I hope y'all stay healthy. I hope you stay rehydrated or hydrated. I hope you rested well last night. You had a pleasant night. And you are now waiting and you are raring to go. Right? Raring to go. Because I'm raring to go too. AC is on, but I'm hot like hell. Why? You know why? Because I've been working. Yeah. Well, Jan Adams, you can tell him for yourself, you know, that the Indians don't do anything honestly, regardless of how straight up and how legit the operation looks. You said they always got another book. Hey, Evan Prasad is true, by. I don't know, it's them says so, I didn't say so. I see somebody named Gray or somebody say they disagree with my position on the Blinken visit. Well, why not call us and share your opinion? The lines are open for you alone. 622-5933 is the number to call. 622-5933. Call the number and tell me why you disagree with my position on the Blinken visit. I maintain my position. The Blinken visit ain't gonna change nothing. Unless Guyanese are prepared to do what Guyanese have to do. It's as simple as that. Right? I saw a post on Blinken or his team or whatever saying that there's a photo and it said what? I visited with the opposition leader of Guyana and I can't remember if it is creative is the word he used. Opposition is necessary or something to that extent. Where did I see it? I'm trying to remember where I saw it. But you know what? I can't agree more. Right? I certainly agree with the short statement there by Blinken. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. But don't worry yourself. If anybody comes across it, send it to me so I can really delve into it and share my understanding, my interpretation. I saw it. Where did I see it? I saw it. You know. Yes, he said I visited with the opposition leader. I met with the opposition leader of Guyana and we had a good conversation, something to the extent and whatever else. You know. Whatever else. Somebody just sent me something from news source saying that the PPP was blindsided by Blinken meeting with the opposition leader. I mean, they could say that, but I doubt it. I doubt it. There's something called protocol, you know. Right? And I was pointing that out yesterday. That first and foremost, the U.S. would take control of protocol for Blinken's visit. The U.S. Secretary of State. Well, the fourth most powerful man in the U.S. government, perhaps. And so they will decide who he can meet with, when he can meet with them, and so on and so forth. Good? But since the Guyanese authority, the Guyana police force, must have a role to play in the provision of security for any visiting head of state or any visiting member of government. They must have known. I am saying that they must have known that Aubrey Norton was going to meet with Blinken at some point in time. I don't care what y'all say. Maybe they don't know the details, but they knew. Right? Good. Why are we talking? It's Free Talk Friday. I still waiting for Gray to call me and let's chat on this thing. Why you disagree with my position on the Blinken visit? Why would you do that? Let's talk about it. Right? So that statement was made. I'm hoping I will keep looking for the statement so that I can see it. I saw it first thing I got up this morning. I can't remember from where though. But it's interesting to note, and that is why I want to see it, because the particular word that was used, is it creative opposition? Is that what he said? Did he say creative opposition? Is that what he said? I'm checking the Demerara with a quote. Alright, don't bother yourself, man. We're going to talk about it. But what are we tracking this morning? What should we be talking about this morning? I did say yesterday morning, I'm going to open up the lines to you early today, so you can have all your say, because yesterday was truncated and so on. So the lines are open. 622-5933 is the number to call. Call and let's talk the thing. Who's going to take the first shot at the phone? A man named Imran Khan was fatally shot in Campbellville last night. Who is Imran Khan? Who is Imran Khan? That's for news purposes. Imran Khan is a man who had assaulted Benjai. Remember Benjai had come to Guyana and was, I think, performing, or he had done a performance, and then he was at the nasty place on Main Street there. The place that was owned by the Rahmans. I don't know the place name. Where Portuguese man spot on a black man. Where the place name? It's opposite Middle Street almost. Bill and me, y'all know the place, man, with name. This morning I'm getting brain blocks. Whatever it name, man. Y'all know the place. It's a popular drinking spot. All them rich people that's got there. What the place name? The last I know, it was bought over by no, not Palm Court, man, PC. Yeah, Nigel Price, thanks. Yeah, so Imran Khan was a man who assaulted. I think he had caused Benjai to be gashed or something. And that matter was in court, and I think it was eventually thrown out. But he was murdered last night. Fatally shot. Karma, let me tell you something. Well, Stanborn is saying it's his brother who got shot. But I'm reading that it's Imran Khan who got shot, and Imran Khan was the man who assaulted. I don't know, you know. Everybody got access to different information. I'm quoting from the news. News source, I think, is giving me that information. Right? But Somebody got shot. And they got the same blood of the person that assaulted Benjai. It might be surprising to know. It's just a theory, right? It might be surprising to know that, as they say, the roosters are coming home to roost. Or the chickens are coming home to roost. Right? Because at the end of the day, when you do the wrong things to people, let's come looking for you sometimes. It might not be when you expect them to come, but they do come. Right? And they say revenge is better served cold. Because when you think it's peace and safety, it's a sudden destruction. And that reminds me that I got a song to play for y'all. Here is the thing about Anthony Blinken, Secretary Official. While visiting Georgetown, I met with Guyanese opposition leader Aubrey Norton and learned about his vision for Guyana. Constructive opposition is essential to a vibrant and stable democracy. Constructive opposition is essential to a vibrant and stable democracy. Are we being constructive in the opposition? That's the question to ask. Right? But let me play this tune for you right now.
Watch the places you walk in, mind the way you talk. Watch out for the vampire who will sneak up in the dark. Watch out for the big time thief who claim say that them smart. But bringing the crack and the gun to come mash up the youth them heart. Red and red, when you all a look down on a T-bread. I hear an ex you dead. Sneaking under man feet. A revelation time, check the signs of the time. Get up in the heat. And you study up the leg out the street and you know say things now go sweet. And a hustle and a shuffle hungry belly there I yard can't find food to eat. Better and red. Where they all a look down on that T-bread. I hear an ex you dead. Since you tell the man them pull down the gun, back and turn your back and let our life gone down. These are the time we should have some fun. Give thanks to Jack as the man soon come. If you make a sense you tell the man them let the politics. Back and turn your back and let a man get trick. Mama, red and red. When you all a look down on a TV, I hear an ex you dead. Whoa. Watch the places you walk and mind the way you talk, Watch out for the vampire who will sneak up in the dark, Watch out for the big time crook who claim say that them smart. But I bring in the crack and the gun to come mash up the youth them heart. Better and red, when you all a look down on that T-bread. I hear an ex you dead. Better and red, when you all a look down on that T-bread.
Water run red, you gotta watch the places you go to and the people you interfere with. Because if you don't, sometimes the chicken will come home to roost. I was just doing a little research here and I realized that the name Imran Khan has shown up in so many badness, if I can call it that. I saw an article there of Imran Khan charged for attempting to board a short bus, a man with disability and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, the lines are home, the lines remain home. Nobody calling one. You only want to talk today? It's Free Talk Friday. Let's talk. What you know, these press conferences after a visit by a visiting dignitary, usually they're so cryptic, you gotta really read in between the lines and so on. What did you make of the press conference yesterday following the meeting between Blinken and the fat guy? What do you make of the press conference? Call you live, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Well, the song you played there, I hope it's not really a tribute to the deceased person. Anyway, as you rightly said, the pigeons are coming home to roost. And you mentioned about this person who was talking about small business. Can you remember a young person in the installed regime who had a bank account of about $2 billion and he used to sell phone cards? Then you had another small business owner, that of Multiplex on Regent Street. He started by selling onions and garlic. So if you start your business small and you move to the right areas, within a matter of months, you will have a big business. Well, I want the type of business because when you see you found one thing for the payments of those business, your end don't be nice. And you always got to live with your back, your face behind your back, because you always have to be looking over your shoulder. Now with this visit, we do not know what it augurs to Guyana. We don't know. Because when Pompeo came, regime change. So you don't know if this is a regime change that is taking root in Guyana. Then the last thing, the famous story that is trying to be swept under. I would like to make a comment and I hope people don't jump on me. In this country, those girls that were subjected to the wrath of the rapists were underage girls. And I think it's time that we move to have a law where we stop allowing our underage girls below the age of 18 to be involved in beauty queen contests. Because when you put them out in the contest, they don't have a barrier with the type of clothing. They don't say, well, oh, let the girls wear like a school wear, an evening wear that is not revealing, and another wear. They put them in the beach wear that is very revealing. The gowns that they parade in the last walk around the stage is another revealing gown. And when you got predators, known or unknown, they go to places like these to seek out and groom and prepare their prey for the table at a later date. So I hope that they could move against that. When you want to be a beauty queen, let you be 18 and over. So that when you ain't saying this must happen to all beauty queens, they wouldn't have this lapse in judgment to say age of consent and so. Let the children and parents out there. You might hate me now, but in the long run, you might say this woman will like tap all around the place as give a good warning to all would-be parents. Let your children be inside. In the outer world, if you go and you take out a picture with your child's genitalia exposed, they come down on you and they charge you for trafficking in children. That is a law against you taking out your children naked skin. And we must move to protect our little girl children, because the girl said, he said he would assist her to win this beauty queen contest. So just take it in stride. So there are other activities that your children could go to. There are other clean activities. I like debates and different things. You could get them in drama, not revealing. Because I run a concert and I am putting nobody, children out there naked. Last year, I had a problem with some little girls who wanted revealing clothes to show off. They just start getting breasts. And I told them there was a no-no. And what they did to me, they did not do anything for my show. I didn't care. But I don't want to be the person who cause people, young girl children, to be preyed upon and end up like what happened to that little girl. So that is my tidbit. Happy birthday.
Run this free talk Friday every gaff. Don't go nowhere yet. Why should I want my child have a right to partake in social events because there are predators out there?
No, you didn't listen to me.
I listened to you. I'm asking you a question. I listened to you. I listened to you. Don't tell me I didn't listen to you. I listened to you.
Okay.
Because there are predators out there, I must not allow my child to partake in a beauty pageant. If she has an interest in pageantry, or if we know, for example, she can win pageantry.
Kadaki. But the children partaking in that, they have certain things they do. Beach wear, done. Why, like me, if I was to allow my child that is underage to be a part of a pageant, the part where revealing that child's body after what happened to these children would have been a no-no. And I, as a parent, would not have allowed my child to go on a beauty pageant. You know what it's saying, medicine? You got preventative medicine.
So,
you attack a thing before it happens.
So in short,
if you see after what has happened to that girl and the starting of her woes was being in that beauty pageant, well, let me tell you, Kedaki, before me going to the falls and fall over Kaichor and then look for somebody to rescue me, and if I got to Kaichors, I gonna stay far from the fall over pipe. Because me going over there. So it is up to parents. But my views will not be for everybody. But I know, had I still being with young children, because my children are grown, and a thing like a beauty pageant to come up, and they said to me, well, look, mommy or Rhonda, I want to attend. The answer to that child, I don't care if in the long run they would have hate me, would have been the big word, the big two-letter word, no. Me want go down the road. But you see a daytime kite, Kodaki, not take 5 out for look for my night.
Thank you, Rondo.
Bye-bye.
All right, good. I don't know if you all heard it, but I heard maybe what I wanted to hear. You can't call for a national ban on pageantry for minors because they are pedophiles in the society. You can't. What you can do, however, is call for more draconian laws against pedophilia. Because pageantry is not illegal, pedophilia is illegal. You can call for more draconian laws against pedophilia. And you can demand that the system works when it comes to pedophilia and rape and other sexual abuse crimes. But one of the things we understand in the last aspect of our discourse is important. And it comes down to me, the parental responsibility. What will I allow my child to do? My child can partake in pageantry, but I can determine what is suitable wear for my child in pageantry. It is not every evening gown that has to be semi-nude or nude. It is not every swimsuit, swimwear that has to be semi-nude or nude, right? So parents have a big part to play in what their children wear to go on stage in these pageants. I'm of that firm opinion. But a lot of people allow their children or allow the organizers of these events to get full reign with their children. And organizers recognizing that we live in a society, we live in a time where sex sells, just like the businessmen who have their staff going to work in the skimpiest of clothing because sex sells. That is what the organizers of these pageants do. But if every parent should take their responsibility seriously and say, my child will not go on stage and that, then the organizers will find that they have to adjust their methods, or they will have nobody to partake in their pageants. That's just my opinion, right? We're having a free talk today. Call A Live, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. Good morning, all Guyanese. And good morning to Sister Rhonda. I like what she said. You know, she wouldn't go to the edge of kiteshore because the possibility that we might fall over. Mr. Kadaki, in that conversation, you just raised a very poignant question about what should parents or why are parents allowing the allowance of parents to allow their children to partake in these lewd pageantries. Now, that raised an idea in my head that if we can exercise choice of whether or not we should allow, what sort of allowance should we participate in when it comes to allowing the PPP to do what they're doing? Because it's all allowance we're talking about. We can allow our children, or we can disallow them, or not allow them. And we can allow politicians to be accountable or to get away with zero accountability or minuscule accountability. So dealing with the visit yesterday, in the meeting, Irfan talked about the rule of law and democracy. In one of the questions he was answering, he said, the rule of law and democracy has to take some time. And I said, really? It has to take some time? Now, we understand that everything has to mature. But if you read on the Constitution, that it says all Guyanese are to be treated equally under equal protection of the law, how long does that have to take? The PPP were in government for 23 years. So my question is, Irfan Ali is saying the rule of law has to take some time. I thought that was a nonsensical response. I thought it was the most idiotic and dunce response to give, being that you've been sitting in government for the last 57 years. How long does it take to comply with constitutional compliance? How long? Then he went on to talk about, then they talked about transparency. The Secretary of State said he is just following up on a conversation him and Irfan Ali had in the United States last July on issues of transparency. I don't see much transparency happening with regards to the PPP's behavior. I don't see much accountability happening. But these are things that the Secretary of State talked about yesterday. So I don't really see any progress. And this is why I'm going to say this, that regardless of what the State Department does, and they better do something fast, we're going to hold this Guyanese government accountable. And it might come to more than just peaceful protests. I could predict that the way the PPP has been going is going to come to more than just peaceful protests. And I advise Blinken that he better get the PPP in line, or we're going to get them in line. And we're going to use whatever force it is necessary to get the PPP in line. And they could count the last dollar on that. They could bet the last dollar on that. Now, I must congratulate Red Thread. I saw a sister up there, I thought it was Dr. something. She was making some very good points. I must congratulate Simona Brooms and all the women who were out there standing up for this Amerindian girl. I must commend Mr. Paul Slow, because he picked up on an idea. He says he called on Amanza, he called on Roysdale Ford, he called on many of these lawyers not to let up on this matter with Damlal. So while we are busy complimenting or seeking interest in the Secretary of State, he has already come and he's gone. We have still got to deal with our responsibilities as Guyanese. And I am all for the narrative that we can use the courts, that can reuse protest, and we can use all the other things, including prayer. But remember, right now in Ukraine, the Secretary of State is giving the Ukrainians weapons to remove illegitimacy. If you go on YouTube and you follow this same Secretary of State, it's on YouTube. Check his visit to the Middle East. Check his visit to Israel and Saudi Arabia and all these other countries. Listen to what he's saying. He's doing a lot of double talking. So he tells them one thing, that they should fight in Ukraine. Look at how much billions of dollars they give Ukraine. Then he comes to Guyana and double talks here, because he don't see no reason why we in the opposition should fight. We have got just as bad political crises in Guyana as they got in Ukraine. Look at the situation in Haiti. He spoke about Haiti quite a bit. Haiti is as a result of America's interference. Now they want to put CARICOM to handle their problem that they created over there. You notice that maneuvering? They want to put CARICOM in a mix with Haiti. So then we end up going over there, getting in a cultural problem with the Haitians, in a problem that we never started. So we must get sucked into that. And that will probably have spin-off effects for CARICOM. It is already having spin-off effects for us in CARICOM. So we've got to be very careful. Because I noticed Irfan Ali running his level lip, talking about, we're going to be involved and we're going to try to settle the situation in Haiti. That's not our problem in Haiti. We didn't create that problem. We would like to solve it. How come he wasn't so helpful to allow the Haitians to come to Guyana? So basically, we're just assessing the overall conversation that happened. Comrade Norton said that he presented his portfolio and he presented the issues, the popular issues, on election and biometrics, and it's good. I'm glad to hear Comrade Norton put forward that. I would hopefully that Comrade Norton at some point in time would see it appropriate to come and have a sit down on one of these shows and give us some sort of a feel of what was discussed there, because he's working in our interest. I noticed that Adam Harris wasn't invited, and Dennis Chabral wasn't invited. Travis Chase and Gordon Mosley weren't invited to ask any questions. I don't even know if they were in the crowd. How could that be so? Well, of course, the PPP, I guess they're running the show. So they only allowed 2 questions. Two silly questions on nothing, about nothing. And then allow an American guy to come and ask 2 more questions about nothing. Nobody asks anything on the rule of law. Maybe I didn't hear it. But the most important question concerning the subject matter of the rule of law and the insufficiency of the non-compliance to the rule of law, we heard nothing about that. But we heard Blinken talking about accountability and transparency. Once again, thank you for listening.
Coffee,
Yes, sir.
before you leave, your interpretation of Ali saying you will, my use of words loosely, intervene to fix the Haitian situation, is that we're talking about the big national situation in Haiti in terms of the chaos and whatever the word I just slipped me that's taking place there, or is it the visa requirement and the prevention of Haitians from coming to or passing through Guyana? Just a thought. You don't need to answer.
Okay. Yes, but I it's just a thought. We have. Let me say that the Deputy Secretary of State, who was the African American guy that accompanied Blinken, he was the guy leading up the negotiations for an international intervention, military intervention into Haiti. That same black guy that came along with him, at least I saw him in Trinidad, the African American guy. Look, here's how I answer that question. Let me give you my insight on that. The purpose for the Treaty of Chagaramas is to address our crisis post-colonialism. Our crisis post-colonialism here in CARICOM. And we have got to, so we decided to bring Haiti into our circle of Chagaramas. We can't lose sight of that. I think Haitians have as much right to travel within CARICOM as anyone else, because they are our CSME brother, free movement brother and sister, in the whole idea of Chagaramas, right? And the European Union, they have free movement. United States have free movement within the United States. So I don't see how it is that we can hinder Haitians from traveling here. Obviously, it has some political ramifications, but that's irregardless of the point. Yes, sir.
We know that's a given, that's a known. The specific question was, and I said already, you don't have to answer.
Yes, I know I don't have to, yes.
Do you believe the reference to fixing the Haitian situation had to do with Haiti's current state of anarchy, or it has to do with the restrictions the current PPP administration has put on the free movement of Haitians?
That's a loaded question.
It's not loaded. I haven't loaded it. It's loaded with nothing. Anyways.
Yeah, because because a question deserves a response if I'm not, falling into any trap. So it's free talk. So I'm okay. Look, Haiti, first of all, Haiti is a geopolitical problem. America wanted Haiti to counterbalance Cuba from the Cold War. So Haiti's situation has a geopolitical backdrop to it. It ain't just immigration. So that's why I said yes and no. The new face of Haiti's crisis is what we're seeing. It's its new face. But its new face is as a result of old interference because of our geopolitical position. As was Dominican Republic, as was Puerto Rico. So that's why I say yes or no.
Thank you, Coffee.
But, okay, once again, thank you for posing those questions. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Let me, I usually give my opinion when we're having these discussions. I do not believe that the U.S. wants Haiti to become a normal country. I don't believe they want the situation rectified. How will it benefit? Call on the line. How will it benefit the U.S. if Haiti is a stable country? When the arguments over the years historically is that the U.S. destabilize Haiti so that they can get access to the resources and wealth and whatever else they possess. And since I don't believe that they would like the state of anarchy in Haiti to really be rectified so that you have a normal functioning democracy in Haiti, it's my belief that the references to the Haitian situation might very well be the restrictions that this government has placed on the travel of Haitians. So let's watch and see if they're going to reverse that position. Right? Because like Kofi said, and we all know, Haiti as a part of CARICOM is entitled to free movements of its citizens. Let's see how that goes. Those are just my thoughts. And we're having a discourse, so you can call me and tell me, well, Mr. Amsterdam, we think you missed the bus. Call A Live, good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and morning, Guyana. Just touching a couple of points here. On the Haiti situation, it is my opinion that a Marshall Plan should have been initiated a long time ago. A Marshall Plan like what they've did in Japan and Germany. If we really want to see Haiti be a stable country, it can be done. But for lots of reasons, they've decided not to. It's a perpetual state of anarchy, and basically the United States have allowed, along with France and all the superpowers, have allowed it to take place. Just look at what's happening in Cuba, where the United States got a 50-something years embargo on Cuba. I mean, that's a bunch of bull when you look at they trade with communist China, Russia, and do other things. So, I mean, that situation in Cuba and in Haiti can be remedied, but we simply refuse to do it. Now, going back to Guyana, didn't listen to press conference or anything like that. I can't stomach to hear an uneducated fool that you guys have for a president and Jack. I don't know. I just can't stomach watching or hearing these people. But based on your conversation, Irfan, he said he's going to work to fix it. Hell, they can't even fix what's happening in Guyana. You going to work to fix what's happening in Haiti? That's a bunch of bull. Great comment from Rhonda, and she is, in my opinion, Guyana woman king. Great comments from Coffee too as well. But coming back to Guyana, I thought it was a decent showing in reference to protesting and stuff like that. But the Guyanese people, to me, it got to be more. You've got to come up with different things to stop how these vehicles just flew past. I doubt whether Blinken even raised his head and can see what was actually some of these placards. So we've got to come up with better stuff. Now, when it comes to Mr. Norton, it was basically, to me, just a photo op. Because it is stating that he was only in Guyana for 4 hours. What the hell can you talk in 4 hours about your plight? I don't see a whole bunch. So unless, again, it is up to the people in Guyana, in my opinion, that have to rise up and stay risen up to get rid of this racist mafia PPP. So here's this young lady who's been brutally sexually assaulted and all. Okay, he stepped down, and so is that it? He must be held accountable for his actions. And I don't mean held accountable in the public opinion. Other things need to be done to that monster. And that's my take.
Thank you for your call. The lines remain on. I have a voice note.
Good morning, Kalaki. Now, I heard Mark Benshaw was criticizing the meeting with U.S. Secretary General and Norton concerning the one-on-one meeting. What he was saying that at least they should have some MPs in there. I am saying no.
Call all the line.
Yeah, morning, Mr.
Number one, the reason
Call all the
why
line.
Morning.
Call a hold the line.
Choose to reach Norton there, the embassy. Norton is the opposition, do not have no army, do not have the police on his side, do not have security to, to secure Blinkens in that building that they have there. Number one. Number two, who knows if Blinken told Norton, listen, next 2 years you guys are inside there, okay? And you don't want nobody else to hear anything, because these MPs, since some things said, they all go with it. You understand me? When Blinken leave that office, you know that it's Norton alone he talk to and talk with. And in spite Norton meeting was shorter than infernally, the government, Norton, who knows, Norton meeting was more fruitful, and Norton is more comfortable what he heard. So nobody knows what Blinken and why Blinken choose not to have no one else in there with Norton. So that is my take today. Bye.
Thank you for that voice note. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Good morning to all the viewers and we in the diaspora. My contribution this morning is that why that fat guy is reluctant to put his foot down on Darmalal. It just gives me a feeling that he is a part and parcel of what used to go on in these places. I won't erase that because there is slackness to the highest power. He had to be part and parcel of what going on. He indulge himself in that. He drop in there sometime and have fun also. And too much of damn slackness is going on in our country. And to that witch at the DPP, she had better get her act together. She better get her act together because things happen in the twinkle of her eyes. They believe that Guyana is theirs. It's not theirs. And Guyanese need to know that the money, the wealth that is there in our country is all of us own. And not Parrot and the PPP own. Not them own. That is what a lot of people fail to realize. That is not theirs. And we must get equitable amount. All the 250 and the 300 grand and million what they're sharing out, bust it down in the middle. Because things could be heading to a dangerous point. We need to get the act together. And last but not least, for the women them in Guyana that is protesting, kudos to them, especially Simona Brooms. Kudos to these women. And the men, we men need to do more. Get off our butt. Some we walk in the road with pants down, like we want something behind we. Get off we butt and get out there. We sit down and depend on the women too much. That is my contribution.
Thank you. Let me say this. In reference to the call who said Mark Benchcop was criticizing Norton last night, I don't criticize my fellow social media influencers as they start to call us. But I don't know when Mark call only line. But I don't know when Mark is not criticizing Norton. Right? Some people, once they had one problem with you, they will forever have a problem with you. And that's my opinion, that Norton can't do anything right where Mark is concerned. Why a one-on-one meeting with Blinken and Norton? I think in many instances, we need more one-on-one meetings with our leaders and international leaders, especially given the chaos that the PNC is in. The PNC got 3 factions at least. How Norton is to know that the people he's going to take to that meeting are necessarily in his faction and will be able to hold a secret. That's a high-level meeting, like it or not. In terms of the time spent at the meeting, a lot of people believe that it's always about time. It's not about time, it's about quality of engagement. Norton knew Blinken was coming. Did he prepare a dossier and say he just went, he had brief conversations and say, here is the evidence, interrogate it at your own time? We don't have to spend 10 hours to let people understand what's happening in this country. We just have to prepare a brief. That's what it's called, a brief. And as a man in the international relations field, Norton should very well have understood that. So I am not going to waste time trying to understand what took place in that 15-20 minutes meeting, whatever it was. But I certainly believe that maybe one-on-one was warranted in this instance. We know that Norton is swimming in a treacherous sea. Call live, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Kadaki, and to all your viewers. I would just want to get over to my Guyanese brothers and sisters. I want them to understand. From this seeing this visit that take place with Blinken, it is simply telling us as a people that we have to stand up because this country is ours. Don't let us look for no international body to come and help us when we are sitting down on our butt and don't mean to help ourselves. Now, Blinken only come here in Guyana because of U.S. interests. So there's no looking out for the Guyanese people. And if Blinken could not have made a statement on nothing that take place in this country, it is showing us that what was happening hundreds of years, the oppression of black people, that Blinken is happy about that because his ancestors are the people who was enslaving black. So when he's seeing it, he feel proud about that. Because he could not have said anything but what is taking place. But when the former fellow was here, he could have spoken on our election, which he had no right to. But now Blinken come, and he can't speak on anything. So, my people, rise up, open your eyes. It is just keeping us apart. As long as we keep fighting as a nation, we will benefit nothing. And the parties that are in power is embedded in keeping us apart, to tell us we're Indian and black. So we must keep fighting. And while we fight, the white oppressors, those demons, would keep oppressing our country. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Call live, good morning. Call live, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters. This is Flash Garden. I'm going to shift gear this morning because it's time for black people know every quarter's cry for their own calf. As the Carter said, that man only come to protect the American interests. So I'm paying that no mind. I'm going to talk about this morning about poverty because Arby Norton start talking about poverty. And poverty does take money, good jobs, good health care, and good education. And when the government change between double pay and PNC come together and put these people them out of office, the next month, what both parties have to do at coalition, every senior citizen in Guyana must get $60,000 pension if we're talking about poverty. And every black senior citizen, every January, they must get $100,000. That's from the oil money. That's from our foreparents were slaves. If we're talking about poverty, public workers' salary must raise at least 35% when you take office. If we're talking about poverty, and this month salary must knock out all Guyanese, especially public government workers. They must receive pay every 2 weeks, not no month. You work 1 month, you have to wait 2-3 months. No, knock it out. Guyanese are sitting in the front row with all the big boss oil company. We must uplift our standard of living. No more monthly pay, every 2 weeks. If we're talking about poverty, all police officers, army, men and women, GRA, and immigration officer must carry guns 24 hours. Guyana is the only country, only couple these people them carry guns. Nonsense. That must knock out. We have to uplift our standard of living and move up to the ladder. All black Guyanese, every January must receive $1 million so we could start business from now. It is not too late to do the right thing. And all household every July must receive $250,000. If we're talking about poverty and want to be independent and want to get out of poverty, it's called for money. Them two airports must be changed when the government change. Oval Airport must be Walter Rodney International Airport. Timeri Airport must be Forbes Borden International Airport. If we're talking about poverty and show them, because the law said in Parliament, what are you doing for our people? We're going to show them what we will do for everybody and our people too. The government, when it change, must give them athletes, those who in sports, maintain them so Flash Garden could sit down anywhere and see my country flag flying and see my Guyanese brother and sister in every sports if we're talking about poverty. Now before I go, we go show them 50,000 jobs. We go bring back 3 airplanes for Guyana with oil money and create jobs. 1 plane for the Caribbean, 1 plane for Canada and England, and 1 for America. Because Guyanese travel every second, every day, every week, every month. We go provide a job there. We go show them provide jobs again. The government must have their own security for all government hospital and government school must have security guard every day because the system is getting worse now. Teachers must be free. Go to school and their brains don't be thinking who coming to kill them. They have to provide jobs. The government must bring back government bus, school bus for school children. We providing jobs. We will show them how to provide jobs. Let me focus on this, and it's time for WPA and PNC come together now and start a rally and tell black man, these things black man want to hear. Let's forget them nonsense and move on. Thank you very much for your time and happy weekend to you.
Thank you, caller. Well, you know, the Working People's Alliance has been championing the cause. We have been saying, listen, you must have direct cash transfer to every household. That's first and foremost. The proposed amount is $5,000 per household. Even if it has to start somewhere and gradually get to that point, $5,000 per household. The WPA through Dr. Professor Clive Thomas has also been talking about a universal basic income as far as I remember. Right? And so I agree that any government has to be prepared to address those simple things if they really want to address poverty. Right? To say the universal basic income, well, if you're talking about universal, it's everybody inclusive. You don't necessarily have to be discriminatory in terms of income to fix the situation in your country. But there are certainly instances when you have to be prepared to take affirmative action to pull people up from the bottom of the social ladder to a point where they can compete on a level playing field with others. Right? So that's my short response to Flash Gordon. Caller live, good morning. Caller, you're live, good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, Mr. Kadaki, and viewers all.
Caller, you have to have a conversation, a telephone conversation. You can't listen to the program and wait to respond to that. You're talking with me.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Good morning, and the viewers all. Blinken has come and he has left. Now, the opposition leader should come out and let us know what is his plan now as far as moving towards and getting rid of the PPP and getting the things that we need to have done. The opposition leader must come out now and make statements on these different programs. He cannot be as silent as he has been. We have to hear from him now, as there's no more need for him. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Caller, you're live.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning, viewers. I want to piggyback on the last caller, and I think you, as well as the WPA as a whole, we should always continue to stress on the 5,000 US for each household. That's a must. We mustn't stray away from it. When you want to start talking about lifting Guyanese out of the poverty, regardless of what these developed countries are saying, when you started to say 5,000 US for each household, they want to jump on your backs. For those who know what Canada look like, what the US look like, what England looks like, they provide housing, hundreds of thousands for their citizens. We must always remember that. They bring people from Bangladesh, the Philippines, and they put them in housing. But the grandmother, the great-grandmother, everybody. Thousands of dollars every month. So don't dare tell Guyanese that you're looking for handouts. They bring people from overseas and give them handouts, put them in 3 and 4 bedroom skyscrapers. 5,000 US for each Guyanese, $5 million each Guyanese, each household. We have less than 1 million people. Last Sunday, I was looking at a CSNBC documentary concerning EXXON and the amount of oil that they're pumping out to Guyana. the moderator for the program was even saying a barrel for every Guyanese per day. That's the amount of oil that they're pumping out of Guyana. Who wanted to check the documentary? Check it. CSNBC, EXXON in Guyana. It will tell you what you guys are missing out. And for the 20 years contract that they have, if we allow them to leave without that being done for Guyanese, you have nothing to get, because the world is shifting away from oil. It's now or never. We should bargain for this, protest for this. Another issue I'd like to talk about, I commend the meeting with Mr. Norton. That's how you treat our leader, with respect. You got 5 and 6 people in a meeting. I'm not in support of a 4-hour visit to Guyana. That's all the respect Mr. Blinken have for us. After allowing his, not his administration, the previous administration to overthrow a democratic elected government, along with the Canadians, along with the British, along with Mia Montley, along with Brickhead Gonzalez. We, as Guyanese, we falter. We allow them to overthrow our democratic government. We allow them to kill, because the actions that they took that day when they stormed the Elections Commission building, where the elections results were being broadcast. The actions of those people caused the deaths of 3 young people, the mutilation of those 2 boys, the cousins. Oh boy, Guyanese, you dropped the ball. Because pictures of those mutilation of those 2 young guys should have been front page and center for Mr. Blinken to see. Because of their action, it's the same thing they did with Haiti. You think they want to fix Haiti? They don't want to fix Haiti, because they helped to destroy it. Embargoes against embargoes. They don't want to fix Haiti, and that's exactly what they're trying to do to Guyana. Divide the people, cause them to fight. They pay the politicians, because that's what they're doing. That's what EXXON is doing right now. Listen to the documentaries. We are in Guyana, we are blind to a lot of stuff. You guys need to listen to the documentaries, listen to experts talk about the road that Guyana is heading and how dangerous it is. You think life is hard now? Wait till they get what they get and they leave you to deal with the mess that we have in Guyana. His visit is just to appease those who are in opposition. They don't care. EXXON brought him. That's the reason why they exclude some media people, because he will be forced to answer the hard questions. That's why they can pay the politicians. Mr. Kadaki, 5,000 US for each household. We have to make sure that it happen.
Thank you, caller.
It's got to happen. Have a good day.
You too. Call you live.
Hello.
Call you live.
Am I on the program or?
Caller, you are live. Yes, you are live. Yes. Good morning, you're live.
Good morning, Brother Kidaki. It's been some time, and I just wanted to make a contribution to the program this morning. I think that event yesterday was fruitful. Let me congratulate all the women that were at that event. They represented the fellow Guyanese women. But I think that there should have been more representation in that the mobilization. I think it was kind of poor because the issues that affect us as a country does not only affect one or several individuals, it affects the entire nation. So that I think it should have been more mass participation. Like, take for instance, we didn't have much of the East Coast people. We didn't have much people from Linden. We didn't have nobody from Barbies, from Esquimalt. I'm thinking, as a nation, we should have at least course, people should have been out there. It's about like 10,000 people. I mean, this is a national issue. You know, sexual predator roaming the streets, you never know. I'm asking myself, what are we going to wait on? Are we going to wait on, you know, until somebody closes one of your daughters or one of your sons and decimate them the way Darmlal did this young lady? You know, not alleged did. Are we going to wait until that happens? Until we can make a step forward to correct the situation and set Guyana right? We need to have more participation on these national issues so that we all can benefit. You know, it's not right to say, I mean, you had about like 200 or so people on the road. That's not enough. That's not enough. And you know, I understand that there was a swearing at the city council for the councillors, and then they had something up for footnotes. The whole, you have high-ranking American official visiting Guyana from the State Department in the person of Anthony Blinken, and you really got about 100 and say 160 or 200 people on the road. It should have been mass practice. You know what I mean? I can understand it, but anyhow, I must congratulate the women that represented there. It took extra strength to get out there because they saw this sister that had been raped. They saw her as their sister. And they thought to put their representation there, and they did. And they did well. So good they did. They did it to the last moment. And I'm saying that it should have been more, and in the future, going forward, I want to put it to the public who's listening. I mean, don't just get on social media and say, oh, yes, good work, good job. And you're sitting in the confines of your living room, and you have your children there, and by children, and you're not getting out there. Get out there, do something all of that backyard. Make your voices be heard. Please, I'm begging you. Every Tuesday you have the protests by GECOM. Go, give your support in half an hour. You know, just get out here. We cannot be a great nation or a better nation sitting on our butts. No. Okay? So I want to say with that, I want to say thank you for allowing me space on your program this morning. And a struggle to make a better Guyana may not be, it will be long and hard. But at the end thereof, we will attain victory. We will attain victory. And I listened to Brother Coffee this morning. If he's still listening, I really enjoy your presentation this morning, Brother Coffee. And let me say, it's the beginning of the end of the People's Progressive Party. When you talked about the secretaries, they're talking about accountability and these things, they're looking and they're going to make their decision in time. And I'm saying again, it's the beginning of the end for the PPP. Thank you very much for affording me this time.
Thank you for your call. Call your life. Call your life.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Kadaki. Good morning to the viewing and listening public. Now, about the press conference yesterday, that is so obvious that, that these questions were set for Irfan Ali, and he had recited the questions for he had recited the answers for these questions that were set for him yesterday, right? So we all know that, that wasn't a real press conference, Secondly, about it all came down to Venezuela, what Venezuela is doing and so on, right? And now they're taking in so many people from Venezuela to come to Guyana, and the government is being paid a sum that they could take in some of these Venezuelan refugees, right? Now Blinken was talking about, he was talking about free and fair election in Venezuela. So I'm wondering what happened to our country. What about our country, free and fair election in our country? Right now we are fighting for a new voters list. We are fighting for biometrics, right? And these things have got to be addressed. They need to address these things, right? So all of these fighting with Venezuela, and so we have a legitimate problem in Guyana, right? Thirdly is, I think that if there should be a change in this regime, right, they need to drop the word public servant, right? They need to drop the word public servant and come up with some other name, other than public servant, right? Because public servant is just like if, like the public, and most of the public servant are blacks. So we just like if we're servant all the while, and we remain that way, right? So that's my contribution this morning. Thank you very much.
It's not what you call, it's what you answer to. It's not what you call, it's what it is valued. You could change the name of public servants to public kings. But if you don't adjust their remuneration, they're still right there as public servants. That's only my opinion. Sometimes we look to too many cosmetic changes. We don't want cosmetic changes. We want long-lasting and real fruitful changes. I don't care what you call me, as long as I get my worth. Voice note. I'm sorry, call you live.
Morning. I just would like to say that this issue with Amrlal is just like the elections. 3 years from now, you would not know whether Dharmlal has raped this girl or not. Just like how we're sitting waiting on the elections results, 3 years from now we will be sitting trying to figure out whether or not Dharmlal has raped the young lady. And what, that is my contribution before I implicate myself differently. Thank you.
Let me address to you, for those of you who don't understand how international visits work. No international leader wants to be embarrassed by a wild card. None. I will tell you, none. No international leader wants to be embarrassed by a wild card. And so, yes, the people who are representative of the media at these events are pre-screened. You have to apply for accreditation, right? And obviously, when they accredit you, they must have done their research and justify to themselves, Scholar, hold the line, please. Justify to themselves that you are worthy of being there. And then they decide who will be allowed to answer questions. Even if not openly. In this instance, like I said, protocol is controlled by the U.S. Embassy and the Guyana government. Government media is what will tell government story. And so it's natural that they will give first preference to questions coming from who? Government-aligned media houses. So I don't know why people seem to be surprised that the people who were identified to ask the questions are in fact government-aligned media houses, along with the American media. And trust me again, it's not just any and every American media operative was allowed to ask those questions, I guarantee you that. So let's not behave as though we don't understand how this thing goes. It's a three-card trick. And the issues which were discussed publicly as having been talked about among the leaders, or between the leaders, I guarantee you those are not the real hardcore matters. Because to discuss the real hardcore matters in the open would make a lot of people uncomfortable. The possibility is that Blinken said to Irfan Ali that, listen, we can't continue to support this racist and discriminatory behavior of your government. Do you think they will come openly and say that? No, they won't. It has to be an extreme situation for the Secretary of State to get in a public way and say the U.S. government has determined that the Ali government is racist and undemocratic, and the Guyanese people should do with them what they will. Call you live, good morning. Call you live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. Kadaki, could you hear me?
Yes, caller, you are live.
Okay, good. Kadaki, I said put it up at another 1,000, 5,000, 6,000 US dollars for those poor people. And we don't have to look far. In our village, we have a lot of poor people, so $6,000 to everybody. And most of the households, some of them has more than one family living in a home. So every family who live there and has children, they're supposed to get that type of money. And America, oh my God, I don't know. The reason this is my opinion, and my opinion feel what they did to Haiti for numerous years is the same thing they want to happen in Guyana. And the PPP knows if the Haiti come over there, what they would do with Guyana, because there are black people, they are not Indian, and most of them would not join the PPP. They would probably go for the coalition. So that's the reason why they put them out. They don't want them to come there. And it is, anybody could see that. Why would you not give them permission to come there? And they're giving Venezuela, look how much Venezuelan is in there. It is shocking to know that all these people get housing, they get place to live, they're giving them money to go down and mow down people's houses and all these kind of things. And we people just sit down there. You have to mobilize and stand up and let these people know what you're all about. You're not going to get nothing if you don't stand up and protest. You have to protest. And as the caller was saying, about they get housing, and a lot of people who knows them, people know that they get housing. You come into this country, you wait for 5 or 6 years, and you feel like you don't have a proper job, they go and they get welfare. They get so much money for their children, and they get money for themselves. They pay the rent. Some of them rent is like $4,000 or $5,000 a month. The government pay like over $3,000, and they have to come up with a one-something rent. They knows that, but you have to stand up and fight. Martin Luther King did all of this for us. So why can't they stand up for themselves there and do it? You have people to support them, and still they just sit at home. Simona Bruce, she's doing a great job. You're talking. Everybody's talking. So why can't the rest of the people get up, stand up, and do something for themselves? Kadaki, have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Caller, you're live. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, Kadaki. Guyanese should realize that Blinken, Secretary of State Blinken, is part of the Democratic Party. He's a Biden guy. Hakeem Jeffrey is also a Democrat. These guys discuss foreign policy. So any message that Blinken brought to Guyana and to Irfan, Ali, and Jagdeo, there is influence from Hakeem Jeffrey also. So the message was sent. These guys, it's a Democratic Party. The Democrats are in one party. Blinken is a Democrat. That's why he was chosen to be Secretary of State. So I can guarantee you guys, Guyanese, that the message was sent because Hakeem Jeffrey is aware of the situation that's going on in Guyana. So take it as face value that the message was sent and it was heard. All right, so stop beating up on America. One more thing before I go. I'm worried about what Dr. Hines said to me yesterday about moving towards the WPA wants to move for the BRIC countries, all right, and getting a bad feedback. But he was saying that they're pushing that policy. Do you know the type of system the Russians and the Chinese have? You guys know the system that they have. Guyana don't need no part of that. And you guys should have learned from going against America, and that's the reason the PPP is in there. You guys went against America, and you got put out of power. And you guys are heading down the same road again. Why? I don't know. I don't know why you guys are moving towards Russia and China. China don't even care about their own people. You see how they deal with their people? You see how Russia deal with their people? America don't do that. Why would you want to join the BRIC countries? That's what Mr. Hines was saying yesterday. Anyway, that's food for thought. You guys got to assess what you're doing and think carefully. The side you pick, you better pick the right side or you're going to lose again. You are going to lose again if you pick the wrong side again. You did it the last time and you lost. And you're going down the same road with Russia and China. Let's leave it right there for now. You guys have a good day. Bye.
Thank you for your call. You know the one thing I always say about WPA, right? WPA doesn't concern itself with whether or not it will win an election based on its position. WPA has always adopted positions that are pro-Guyana. Right? I leave the rest of the discussion about BRICS, etc. G8 and G10 and 12 and 14 and 16 and so. We have an economist, a respected economist in the WPA called Dr. Clive Thomas. I'll take my guidance from him. I'm not going to get into this thing about BRICS and so on. I'll have to sit and let him educate me, and you know. But WPA is never really concerned about whether or not it's in power. We have always established, we have always shown the citizens of this country that what we are concerned about is good governance and loosely nationalism. We want what is good for Guyana. And if what is good for Guyana is not necessarily good for the US or any other country, then we will be at odds. But does that mean that we give up our right to want what is good for Guyana? I doubt it. Voice note, I won't be taking any other calls. It's 4 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. We have a number of voice notes to play. And so let us start with that. For those of you who are listening to the program, let me tell you that the Buxton Falls NDC has been installed. They have been sworn in. Members of the Buxton Fowls NEC have been sworn in. Your new chairman is Walston Martins. Walston Martins, a man whose name went long before him. But we'll talk about that next time. I'll keep my eyes out like an eagle at Mr. Walston Martins. And the vice chairperson is David Jones. David Jones, constituency 1. Let me say congratulations to these people. Vice chairman and chairman. Likewise, let me congratulate the councillors. And repeat that I'll be watching you with eagle eyes. Kams TV will be watching you, and we will pull you in ever so often when we think that you need to be pulled in. But let's play these voice notes. Let me get them out of the way. It's 2 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour when you tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. It's the 7th day of the 7th month. Yes, in a matter of 5 days or so, we'll have the bash to the children on my birth anniversary. Ensure you bring out those children who are 12 and under and let them be children. Let them have a good time. We started that discourse about pageantry and the right to have your children partake in pageantry, and who should have the burden of being responsible. Maybe we can continue that next week, because I can tell you it has to be an in-depth discussion, an in-depth conversation. We can't get quick fixes. We have to stop with these cosmetic fixes. We need in-depth analyses and long-lasting changes. Voice note.
Hi, good morning, Kadaki. I'm wondering how many Guyanese ever traveled to Haiti. I have been there on numerous occasions, in and out of Haiti, probably more than 50, 60 times. The situation in Haiti, the rich people, the bourgeoisies, are paying for the system to remain the same. You're either very rich or you're very poor in Haiti. There is no middle class. And what we see today happening in Haiti is that the poorer class is trying to rid themselves of these bourgeoisies. Sometime, I think it was in 1996, this crisis could have been avoided ever since. But the Clinton administration disbanded the Haitian army and the police force. So Haiti has no functioning military or police force to push back at these people. Kadaki, sorry about this again. When President Aristide came back to power in the 90s, what did the Americans do? The Americans, Aristide called for reparations for Haiti. What did the Americans do? The Americans sent them into exile.
Good morning, Kadaki, to you and your viewers. First of all, I really admire your activism against that.
Yes, that's a whisper note we're getting there, man.
Continue to do the good job you're doing. I have a question for you, Sadaki. How do you deal with a sitting parliamentarian on the government?
Good morning,
on the
Kadaki, to you and your viewers. First of all, I really admire your activism against Diamond and continue to do the good job you're doing. I have a question for you, Kadaki. How do you deal with a sitting parliamentarian on the government, on the opposition side, is being accused for the same thing? I wish you can talk about that and elaborate how you would deal with that. Thank you.
So this whisper note, I don't know why people send me whisper notes. I mean, you called me to strain my ears. But in short, I hear, how do I deal with similar allegations being made against a sitting parliamentarian who is on the opposite side of the house, the Darmlal? The same way, you name the politician. We have a detailed accusation against Darmlal. And based on the details that were made public in this accusation against Darmlal, I've been critical, I've analyzed, I've commented, and so on. So if we have a detailed accusation against a member of the House who is sitting on the opposite side to Darmlal, I don't know why you think I will deal with it differently. If you think I will deal with it differently, then you don't know me. I've consistently said on this program, I've said a lot of things, but let me remind you, one of them is this. I really don't care who runs this country as long as there is good governance and the citizens are benefiting. I said that. And if I'm fighting for good governance, and there are people on the opposition side, in this instance a side that I am supportive of, who are misbehaving, why do you think I wouldn't call them out? As a matter of fact, many of you see, day in, day out, I come here and I cuss out the opposition for not doing what is right for the people. And so if this caller is saying to me that there is a pedophile sitting in the benches of the opposition, out the man or woman. Let's have the detailed accusations. And I will comment. I've also said in discussing the Darmlal issue that by no stretch of my imagination I think it is only happening in the government benches. I said that. I'm of the firm belief that a lot of misbehavior took place when AP and UFC was in office. It might not be sexual, it might be financial, it might be discriminatory, but I believe misbehavior took place. Operatives of governments are known to misbehave, but like I said, bring the accusation, let it be as detailed as, or not even as detailed as, let the allegations be made public, and I will certainly deal with them. If you can provide all of the details in private, I might very well confront the issue. But don't ask me a question that, quite frankly, doesn't come with the supporting information. But that's my position. I'll deal with it the same way I deal with Darnell. Voice note.
Morning, Mr. Kodaki. I hear the Vice President talking, but is the coalition make the protesting make the girl withdraw she thing? But this man, like, he tripping out or something. How the hell the protesters could cause this girl to change her mind from whatever really happened? This is what I have to say.
I'll say to this voice note to listen, when y'all listen to the Vice President here and you ask yourself these things if he's crazy or so, no, he's not crazy. I said it on this program again. I'm not a fan of Jack Dio, but Jack Dio is a real politician. Jack Dio is a spin doctor. And so if Jack Dio can spin anything to go in favor of the PPP, he will do that. Are the people on the opposite side willing to spin? Are they effective spinners? Biden said what? What did Biden say? I mean, yes, Blinken, what did Blinken say? There is need for, or he said, constructive opposition is essential for vibrant and stable democracy. Constructive opposition. Is our opposition to the current vindictive and racist government constructive? Are we being constructive? Are we using constructive means of dealing with what we have to deal with? Are we just trying the old methods that maybe work then and can't work now. You have to come up with new ideas. Voice note.
Guyanese, good morning. Satan knew that Christ would have been crucified, but what he was not aware of was his resurrection. Keep the struggle up, keep the struggle. God is good, and you all will prevail.
Thank you for that voice note. It's a voice note of encouragement. As somebody say, they buried me, but they never realized I'm a seed. That's how they were. They didn't expect me to. Germinate and become a damning tree.
Good afternoon, Kaki and viewers. Happy Friday to you guys. Well, I'm going to be on the side with the callers, all the callers that don't believe Blinken done anything for Guyanese people. Normally when these people go to countries, certain places, they go there, just have press conferences, take questions from the media, the local media, international medias be following them. These meetings, these visits, they come even, I think, even to CARICOM. He never had no kind of press conference. You see nothing on CARICOM, you see nothing on the mainstream media. These people are only looking after their own interests. They only looking after their own interests. And why I said nothing not going to change, I believe nothing not going to change until 2025 in the general election. Guess who was alongside him as he visited Guyana? The witch. The witch was still there. Sarah was still there. I hope he take her with him when he leave last night. Because she going. I hope she gone last night, man. And once the woman was alongside him, why is he visiting Guyana and stuff like that? Nothing not gonna change, bro. That woman is a witch. That woman is a witch towards Guyanese people. I ain't talking about black people, but Guyanese people in the whole. She only looking after America interests. So I ain't buying into nothing that went down. Even with the meeting he had with RB Norton or whosoever, it wasn't. He ain't had a press conference for speak to the people or speak to the nation and say blah 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 blah. We got for now take what the PPP gonna come and say to us that the man said this bollocks. That's some BS, yo. Guyanese, you got to stand up for your country. Nobody won't stand up afraid for you. Stand up for your country. Yeah, should have stopped the motorcade and every shit jump in front of the cars and when they're flying down the road yesterday. Stop the motorcade. Make news really. You got to put your shoulders to the wheel, people. This is out of order, man. I so pissed off. All right. Bye now.
Some quick responses. Somebody asked if the PNC has ever done anything good for this country or something to the extent. The PNC, between the PNC and the APNU, I think there have been better governments than the PPP. They managed this country at a time when Guyana didn't have access to the kind of resources locally and internationally like it has now. And with the limited resources, I think it has done quite a lot for Guyanese. Housing programs, education, and so on and so forth. I don't have the time to enumerate right now. But those of you who are fair-minded, you can look back from the days of Forbes Barnum all the way into 2015, 2020 and see what has happened. Compare the PAPP in office for 23 plus years, 23 plus this current amount and so on and so forth, and see what the comparisons are. And if you're fair-minded, I don't think you can come to any other conclusion that the PNC and the different forms it has taken over the years have done markedly more for Guyanese citizens. I'm willing to place my bet on that. Let's talk about the rest next week. It's Friday. Have a good day. Happy birthday to me. Let's celebrate with the children on the 12th. And let's celebrate among ourselves on the 15th. 15th is the dinner and dance. 3-course dinner and dance, live band, stereo songs. Come and have a good time. Cover charge, $10,000. Small potatoes. Have a good time. Be safe. Have a good weekend. Be productive. Keep on keeping on. Let me leave you with a Friday tune. What do you want me to play for you? I don't know what to play for you today. What do y'all want? We need some Gideon boots? I think we need some Gideon boots.
Well, yeah, I need a Gideon boot and a khaki suit. Me stand out in a Babylon and represent the truth. Me nah go see a road and see bad things and keep me mouth from mute. I got a strong reggae beat with a mic in a me hand. To lead out the youth about a destruction and tell the people they should know right from wrong. We got the strength, we got the power to help each other up the ladder. Don't be selfish to help your brothers today. We can make it if we try. Just remember to hold your head high. It doesn't make sense when we fuss and fight. I need a Gideon boot and a khaki suit. We stand out in a Babylon and defend the truth. Me nah go sit aside and watch Babylon and keep me mouth from mute. I've got a strong reggae beat and a mic in a me hand. To lead out the youth them out of this.
The question is asked, what is the senior citizen price to the ball? If we can establish a criteria for who is a senior citizen, admission is free. Right? And so we can talk about that Monday. Who do you consider senior citizen? And once we can agree on that, then we can set the criteria for senior citizens to be free. I'm being very honest with that.
Instruction and let the people know right from wrong. All who believe in love will get a blessing from above. No, you believe in love. All who believe in love will get a blessing from above.
Bobby Barrington says 50 plus. Well, 50 plus is not senior citizen in my book. I'm going to be 50 plus, and I'm not a senior citizen. So that's a disqualification right away.
Calling all the leaders of the world today. Yeah. Give a light to the poorer class, I said, yeah. Got to let the people know the right from the wrong. They are dependent on you to lead the way, yeah. People just for wise.
Sheila George says 70 plus. It sounds reasonable. What do you think? What do the others think? 70 plus? Talk to me.
Believe in yourself. The future generation depends on you. Hey. Show a little love in your heart. And let the people know there's more to life. I need a Gideon boot and a khaki suit. We stand up in a Babylon and defend the truth. Me nah go sit aside and watch Babylon and keep me mouth from mute. I've got a strong reggae beat and a mic in my hand to lead out the youth out of destruction and let the people know right from wrong. All who believe in love will get a blessing from above. All who believe in love, all who believe in love will get a blessing from above. Think about the hungry, think about the naked one. Hey, think about the fatherless and the motherless. Think about the God you sent out coming back at you. Whoa, yeah. Hey, think about the next generation to come.
I think Lynette Fraser has a point. Everybody should pay so we can give it to the station. The station can benefit from proceeds and so on. Yes, but even allowing senior citizens to come free is a way of giving back to the community. So both arguments are genuine and just, right? Because, you know, there are senior citizens who do not have the means. We know the old age pension is joke. Some of them ain't got no other thing to survive on. And so, quite frankly, if I can bring joy to the hearts of a few senior citizens by them having a catered dinner and a wonderful evening out and so on, not too much to lose. Right? Not too much to lose. Not too much to lose. Somebody said 36 plus, I think that person is being ridiculous. Or retired public servants. Public servants retired 55. And so you're still in the 55, in the 50 plus bracket. No, not retired public servants. 70 plus we can deal with. But you know what comes down to? It all comes down to your conscience. And let me say that. It all comes down to your conscience. You must know within yourself if you can if you can afford it, despite the fact it might be 70, might be 80, might be 90, might be 100. Can you afford to spend $10,000 to come to this dinner and dance as part of showing support for what we do at Kams TV and celebrating me in my Jubilee year? It's as simple as that, right? Because like Lynette is saying, I don't know if I said it, but a lot of people might be looking at $10,000 to this dinner. One caterer told me that, Mr. Sam, you're going to be making no money, right? When you do a 3-course dinner and dance and so on for $10,000. Fine by me. It's a way of bringing the community together. But what I also know is that whatever proceeds come out of this, a whole lot of it will be contributing to the upkeep of programming and so on. Right? And doing just what I'm doing. Feed the young people, educate the young people, keep programming, being an activist for the society, for the community and so on. So, yes, that's a good point taken, right? I will say let your conscience be your guide. Can you afford to pay or not?
I need a Gideon boot and a khaki suit. We stand up in a Babylon and represent the truth. Alright, I know me now go stand around and keep me mouth from you.